Welcome and thank you for being with us today. I am thrilled to be presenting live from corporate headquarters in Chicago. I am Jessica DeCola, the marketing manager for GPA. If you have any questions throughout the presentation today, please feel free to drop a line in the Q&A. We'll have an opportunity at the end to answer them. We have an exciting and relevant content today brought to you by my two great friends and colleagues, Mike Blanco and Matt Buckley. Mike and Matt are business development directors here at GPA who have over 60 years of combined experience helping customers and brands maximize their print capabilities and market opportunities. They focus on bringing new applications and innovative solutions while serving as industry experts. Mike and Matt, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Jessica.
Yeah, glad to be here, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Mike Blanco, and today we are presenting what we're calling More Getaways and Less Throwaways. And I'm thrilled to be here alongside my friend and colleague, Matt Buckley. Great to be with you, Matt.
Hey, I'm happy to be here, Mike. Super excited about today.
Me too. So today's presentation is titled More Getaways and Less Throwaways. I'm sure people are wondering, what does that really mean?
Yeah, so getaways can be viewed as travel, entertainment, or even simply a trip to the store. So we wanted to call out two very important trends. More getaways, which is the reopening of travel and events, and less throwaways, which is the increased demand for green and sustainable products. And kind of what the role print is going to play in all of this.
Yeah, great points, Matt. Travel and events are opening up again, and getaways are an important segment that we really need to focus on. We're going to talk today about three main areas of travel that we see accelerating right now and pose the best opportunities in print, and that is leisure, family, and business.
Yeah, and then we're going to move to less throwaways. And this is going to be a conversation about sustainability. We're discussing more than just, recycled products or how to recycle used graphics. Sustainability is a larger conversation about what we need to do to accomplish printing today while protecting the next generation of printers.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right in now and talk about getaways and how customer experience marketing can make a big impact.
Yeah, Mike, I never really thought that going to the local museum or even making a trip to the store would be considered a getaway. But, after last year, some of these small trips, they seem like actual real adventures.
Yeah.
Getaways can be more than vacations. And in these applications, what we see is customer experience marketing on the rise. So we define customer experience marketing as putting the customer at the center of your strategy with a real focus on improving their overall experience. So we love this photo on the left, right? The Chicago Museum exhibit where somebody has taken interior floor graphics, probably a low peel vinyl with a hard laminate over it to prevent scuffing. And they've mounted them in a unique way to the stair risers. So they took what was a plain staircase and they've really turned it into an experience. So now people stop, they take selfies or photographs. They're really looking for ways to, immerse themselves into this experience. And print's going to play a big part in that. So we're going to use more graphics to create engaging environments. Guys, we should really consider all surfaces for applications. That for you is really going to create an opportunity to produce more graphics and drive more revenue.
Yeah, I love that graphic, Matt. That's awesome. Also, if you guys noticed lately when you drive by retail stores, shopping centers, and malls, how full the parking lots are? Stores and brands are moving away from safety signage to more fun versions of stand here, keep 6 feet apart. For example, look at the number of marketing opportunities that brands have in that graphic on the right to create a total experience for the customers as they shop down that aisle. From floor graphics, aisle violators, POP and POS, wayfinding signage, these are all great print opportunities on items like pressure sensitive vinyl, styrenes, rigid vinyl, board stocks, and so much more. They're all playing a really big role in the overall customer experience at that store. Brands are really excited to have customers back in the world and back in their aisles.
Yeah, Mike, it really is like go big or go home, right?
Yeah, that's true. Matt, my dad always told me that it takes money to make money, and brands are now looking to spend more money than ever to get people's business. So we talked about some of those smaller getaways, right? The grocery store, the museum. Now let's talk a little bit more about the larger getaways. People are intending to spend more money this year than they ever have before when travel.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. So you talked about at the beginning, we had three categories: leisure, family, and business. Now, by far the biggest of those three are going to be the two, leisure and family. Unfortunately, business travel just isn't going to rebound this year.
Yeah, no, that's why we're coming to everybody virtually today, right? We'd love to be with you in person, but.
Yeah, I feel like this live event, though, we're one step closer to being back in your conference room. So I feel good about that. It'd be great to be there. So really, let's discuss the difference between leisure and family travel. So leisure is really travel for an experience. It could be us heading out to the beach or traveling to a resort or even attending a concert. And family travel, a lot of stuff that didn't happen last year, travel for an event. So think about weddings, birthdays, reunions. Mike, you and I have talked about this, and it's more than 3/4, including you and me,
Yep,
that are planning to travel for family within the next 6 months. And of that group, I think we're part of it. So half, which I think we're definitely going to spend way more money than usual.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
we are fortunate.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I've read a lot of those statistics too, Matt. And also we just got a text from a colleague of ours recently that said of those people traveling, 50% of us are not even concerned about getting on a plane these days.
Yeah, it's a big change.
So things are coming back quickly. People are going to go all out this year. And as I said earlier, they're going to spend money on things they probably never did before and even more money than they did on things previously. So plans are being made right now by resorts and parks, concert and sporting venues to provide that once in a lifetime experience for customers through print and graphics.
Yeah, Mike, let's start with amusement parks, because I know I've got a lot of friends who are going to take their families there this spring or even through the summer. So I think these are kind of a unique environment in the way that graphics play into it.
Yeah, it's true, Matt. And I'm really looking forward to getting back out there too, but I'm also a little bit concerned about, the safety and how clean some of these environments are. I read an article recently that said half of travelers are stating that enhanced cleaning measures are a major part of their decision-making process when they choose where to stay, dine, or even visit. Although we would like the signage of 2020 to go away, unfortunately, it's here to stay for a little while, and brands are finding more innovative ways to engage customers without disrupting that overall experience.
Yeah, Mike, it's interesting because these signs and graphics still need to be present, but it is now just much a more subtle reminder that brands are still working really hard to keep us safe. It's almost like, hey, we've got this. Why don't you guys just go and have fun?
Yeah, it's true. And, we talked a lot about some of these different items, for example. What are some of the products that would be suitable for these applications, Matt?
Yeah, so I love this because we're talking about spring right now and we're heading into summer, and I think all outdoors, and I'm really excited about this. So let's think about outdoors. Let's think about events, concerts, attending festivals, or even going to the parks like we just showed. So first, I always go to Illuma Graphics, a great product for outdoor floor graphics, long-term durability, wet and dry, all those types of things. But more importantly, it's got an eco or sustainable aspect that we're going to touch on later. So definitely thinking about outside, spring, summer, we're going to think about floor graphics for the outside. In addition, the chemical resistant graphics, the need for those is going to stay. So all of the premium synthetics that we've seen over this period of time are going to continue to be used, including some over laminates to protect those graphics. But what I really enjoy, and you and I were fortunate to be on a call a couple weeks ago with our friend Gary Miller and one of his customers, and it was a real discussion about the return of synthetic menus. And I believe that we're in the uptick of the return of synthetic menus, which is great.
Yeah, no, I remember that conversation. And also when you and I were at dinner last night, we actually had a physical menu, which has been the first one I've seen.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, we were like real people in a real restaurant. I love it.
We were.
It was awesome.
We were. So, we talked about all that stuff, and now we're going to talk about what didn't happen last year, right? The world stopped. All of our social plans were canceled, right? Weddings, invitations, birthdays, reunions, all those things didn't happen. You really need to prepare now. You should be preparing now for the social stationary explosion that is about to happen in 2021. It's already happened. We're already seeing things on the rise. Weddings are scheduled or estimated to grow this year by over 500,000 events. So 2019, pre-COVID, 2.2 roughly. This year, they're estimating about 2.7 million weddings to take place. It's a lot of weddings. I know I'm going to a few this year myself. So other print drivers in this area that are going to increase in those print social stationary areas for family gatherings, the reunions, the birthday parties, all those things that nobody did last year. So we're going to see photo books increase. We're going to see save the date cards, the invitations, all of those things that didn't really do much of last year, they're going to be doing a lot of that this year.
Yeah, really excited to have those events back. So what kind of products are really going to make a difference in people, having a greater experience in those applications?
Yeah, Matt, that's a really great question. And GPA has many unique and elegant substrates that are perfect fits for these type of applications. Things like cotton and felt papers that have that great tactile feel, foil and pearlescent papers for that eye-catching look that people are going for. And then some of our newest additions, like our 110-pound ultra black and rose gold cover stock.
Yeah, I love the rose gold, and I'm a big fan of black, so I love the ultra black. And actually, if you remember, I think I had a LinkedIn post last week about ultra black. So, ultra black, rose gold, you're going to see a lot of that shared on LinkedIn when we talk about products like that, new products, all of our business development managers, business development directors. So do yourself a favor, give us a like and a follow on LinkedIn. And those are very cool products for those, but they're also really perfect for personalized marketing, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. So personalized marketing is going to play a huge role in the reopening. So really, when we talk about this, target audience, that's what we're looking for. So brands are really going to want to entice these customers to come back out. So whether it's to visit the store that we showed, when we're talking about the museum, the restaurant experience we got to share, or even going to the park. So brands are really looking to figure out how to do one-to-one. How do I deliver a brand message to individuals about their real specific interests? And, we've talked about this, and 80% of us, you and me included, really like to do business with brands that do personalized marketing. Yeah. And it said 90% of us, so basically let's call that all of us, really find personalized marketing appealing.
Yeah, I know I do.
Yeah.
I'm more likely to open something up that's been mailed to me that is personalized, that has all of the stuff that I'm interested in as part of that piece. So the other stuff just kind of quickly makes its way into the trash. So, all of the areas we just spoke about all have great print opportunities. There's a lot of great things there. The travel and entertainment industry is working harder than ever before, guys, in order to earn people's business back. A lot of this is going to be done through personalized direct mail marketing. It's going to play a big part. So we spoke about enhancing the customer experience with that immersive, all those immersive graphics in the museum and at the amusement park. Now let's talk about some of the other opportunities that exist here. Personalized event marketing, custom printed pieces, using beautiful substrates, like I mentioned earlier, embellishments, huge. Embellishments are really growing as part of that draw for people. And then innovative construction ideas, a few things we're going to talk about. And then, die cutting. Die cutting these days, there's digital die cutting, there's unlimited opportunities out there. And all of these things are going to create opportunities to elevate that overall customer experience.
Yeah, and we're fortunate. We're lucky here in the lab to have some very cool samples to share.
Actually, we do.
And these were all provided from our friends at Onpoint in Minneapolis. So shout out to our friend Jim for taking care of us. We appreciate it. Thank you, Jim.
You want to go?
I think we go age before beauty.
The older, the wiser, my young friend. There's a wise guy in every group. I'm going to start with this piece, Matt. I really like this. It's very unique, especially for today's environment. Everything we went through this past year, we didn't attend trade shows. We're not able to physically be in front of our customers. And we take something now in this piece that we took for granted before. It was something being in front of people all the time and being able to have that presence and be able to give somebody something that they would remember you by. This allows us to do that without actually being there. So this piece, again, you can put whatever information you'd like on it, but the really important part that I like is it allows me the ability to hand somebody my business card without actually being there. So I can take and do something that is, very mechanical and hand you something physical, but yet still in the virtual world that we're living in. So I really like this piece.
Right. I love that one. And my favorite part about it is it has an action. So I've got a piece here. It's a beautiful piece. It shows up. It's printed on a nice C2S board. It's gorgeous. And it has an action. So you pull out these tabs and the image changes on the front, but there's an experience on the back that I want to share with you. So this is personalized to a customer. And as you initiate this action, it actually shares with you information on products you were interested in. So if you had reached out to them and you wanted to know about certain pieces of equipment, now you get a piece that's customized to you. There's a little activity to it. I mean, I'm reading this one. This is a cool one.
I like that, Matt. You know, you talk about action, and action is one of the first things that comes to mind when I look at this piece. So this is a very unique piece because it's compact. It has a lot of great information on it. It can be mailed as a direct mail piece. It's self-enclosed, so it has this closure on it. And as you start to open this piece up, it really expands into something fantastic, in my opinion. There is not one area of space on here that is not being utilized for print and to send the right message. So again, this can be personalized to the individual. It has information on here about the keynote speaker, about the breakout sessions at this event, times, dates, locations, all that stuff is on here. But what I really like about this piece, and not only the way it's constructed, but they used 3 different substrates in order to create this. And then they put them together and then use the folding techniques to get it to the way it is. So you might not be able to see it, but I hope you can. There's some reflectivity to this. This is a foil product, and there's an uncoated cover and a coated cover, and together it creates this really beautiful, interesting piece that, you know, there's no way I'm getting this in the mail, Matt, and not opening it up. So I like this a lot. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's a very cool piece, and I like that it's for an event. We talked about how important events are and how we're all anxious to get back to them. So my next piece here, this is for an event. It's personalized, but it's got a couple of really unique personalizations to it. So as you open it up, the keynote speaker at this event wears a particularly interesting pair of glasses. And so in the invitation with a die cut, you get your own pair of glasses. So you get to attend the event in your glasses, be a part of it. It creates more of that immersive experience. But there's one really unique feature, and you mentioned embellishment when we started. So we've got a die cut. Now we have some embellishment. Not only is the piece personalized, the glasses are personalized. So on the arm of each of the glasses here, it has the person's name, and then they've laid an embellishment over top to make it tactile. So very cool piece. I'm opening this up. I'm gonna keep these glasses, man.
I could see you wearing those
I
glasses.
think I could pull those off.
You could pull those off for sure. For sure. The last piece I'm going to share today is really important to me because, you know, if we're going to stand up here in front of you and we're going to preach these things and tell you all the stuff you should be doing in order to kind of expand into some of these markets, your footprint and capabilities, we need to make sure that we're following suit, right? So if you're going to talk the talk, you need to walk the walk. And a number of years ago, as we rebranded, we came up with a really great idea to provide samples to customers. So if any of you have actually inquired about samples from us at GPA, you've probably received one of these Enjoy envelopes, right, Matt? This is pretty cool. This is a poly envelope, and it has a printed image on it, which is very unique in itself. And then it has a printed cover on the inside. So this word enjoy, as we slide it out, it gives you this effect, right? Which is really, really cool. So this is a great way for us to provide you guys samples. I have a couple of nice, unique samples in here. And I think, Matt, your favorite one that you just talked about on LinkedIn is in here. We got the
Ultra Black.
We got the Ultra Black. We got some rose gold and a couple other items, the hemp paper and some of the craft board we're going to talk about a little bit later. But what I really like about this too is, guys, it's not something that we're just going to throw away. This is a reusable envelope. People are going to keep their samples in this, and just like me, I'm going to tuck it away back in my desk so that I can come back to it later.
Yeah, I love that one because it really is an experience, and it's what we want. We want people to really enjoy those samples when they come and feel great about them. So I have the honor of the last piece here, which is also a GPA piece. So we initiated a campaign earlier this year, 14 Days of Love, and our marketing team did an excellent job on this. This was a multi-point campaign. There was email marketing, there was social media marketing, there was direct mail marketing, and it ended with this piece right here, which we really love. So this shows up as a personalized piece, and it does a couple of things. You know, it's got a function. It does have a die cut on it. It has this heart. Inside of that, you've got a nice sample, and the sample is coupled with a couple of things we talked about that we really wanted to highlight on this product. And there's an embellishment to give it a feel. We've got a gold foil, and then in this particular product, which is it's a pressure-sensitive paper. It's our white tag C1S. It's got a permanent adhesive, and a lot of people feel it can be difficult to do a kiss cut on it, and so we've kiss cut this little gold heart. And if you want to, you can just give your heart to somebody.
Thanks, Matt, but I think you should keep that.
All right, fair enough, Mike.
All right, everyone, we're now going to transition to the other portion of today's presentation, and that is the less throwaways. And when I say that, Matt, it really kind of sounds interesting, right? And I'm sure people are wondering what we mean by this. Where are we going? We're going to talk about sustainability and why it's such a pressing topic.
Yeah, so as we were preparing some ideas going into the spring here, we really found this statistic that was interesting to us. And it said 72% of consumers across 20 countries said companies behaving sustainably was more important to them because of COVID-19. And so this caught our attention and we started looking into it. And it's very interesting what happened. So last year, we were all in a terrible situation. We're still dealing with a lot of it. But in the beginning, consumers were hopeful about one part of it, and that was an impact on the environment. So half of us at that time really felt that there would be a positive outcome of some of this and that the environment would get better in 6 months. And we saw some of that, right? The thinking was cars were going to be off the road. Factories were going to be closed. There was a little bit of optimism on the environmental side. But it really didn't last long.
Yeah, it's interesting, Matt. I was thinking a lot about that as we were preparing this, and I didn't really drive much last year. Saved a lot of miles on my car, a lot less gas. We hardly traveled last year at all. So you think about that from an environmental impact, that's what I was thinking. But you're saying it didn't really last long, and that's not really what happened. So what's your opinion? What happened then?
Yeah, so what really happened? So in the very beginning, there was some good, and so everybody remembers some positives about air quality. But then what happened, and out of necessity, production of single-use plastics increased significantly. So we needed more personal protective equipment. We had to have masks and shields, gowns and gloves. That had to happen. We needed safety graphics everywhere, and they had to be refreshed and replaced. And then most of them were probably just thrown away.
Yeah.
Plastic sheeting and acrylic sheeting was everywhere. There were actually nationwide shortages, right? It was hard to get. And we used that to separate us everywhere we went. Those were necessary things. But in addition, as consumers, something unique happened. We all stayed home. And when we stayed home, we bought significantly more online and we ordered more takeout than ever. Now, both of those are heavily reliant on single-use plastics. So suddenly waste and our participation in that on the consumer level is a really big concern. So what happened is many people now believe the overall effect is going to be negative on the environment. So what comes out of that is that half of us are looking to really actively reduce the amount of single-use plastic. And then the same amount of us are looking to companies. We want to buy from companies that really support sustainability or are eco-friendly brands.
It's really interesting, Matt, to hear all that because, it makes you really start to think, from a company and a brand perspective. So are the brands the ones demanding the sustainability part of print?
Yeah, so the easy answer is yes. So we see an uptick in the conversation directly with brands about sustainability and the need for it. But what's really driving them, not only do they want to do their part, it's interesting that consumers are pushing for brands, as we said, but one of the new aspects that really is interesting is employees are demanding more of the companies that they work for. This idea that we'll focus on parts of sustainability, maybe recycling and maybe greenwash some other things, just really isn't tolerated anymore. So people are really looking for true pursuit of sustainability.
Interesting. The word sustainability is really interesting because, I guess when I initially thought about sustainability, I'm sure a lot of people think about, exactly where I'm going.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
I think about, I'm doing my part, right?
Yep.
So I wash out my bottles and my cans and newspapers to throw all that stuff in the recycle bin, and then I wheel it out to the curb, and I've done my part. But you're kind of alluding to the fact that there's more to it than that. So what does sustainability really mean? Especially in print.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So first, we want to understand what most people think this means. And it's really meeting our needs now while minimizing the impact our needs have on future generations to be able to meet their needs. So we start to have a conversation that goes beyond recycling and recycled products. So you and I are both aware, we can put a plastic coat on an item and we can put it in the recycle bin, just like you said. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be recycled. And that has to do with how recycling works in America, because it's a complex system, right? It's based on market demand, the price people are willing to pay for the recycled items, and then also like local regulations have a huge impact on how this is. So what we get is a variance from day to day and even by city, whether the same item will be recycled or it will actually go into the landfill. Now, just be clear, like we're not anti-recycling.
No.
We should all be recycled, right? In addition to reducing and reusing. But what's happening is sustainability is about asking for more than recycling. So as this goes on, we're going to see a continued demand for changes in the type of products we print on.
So changes in products. Change is tough,
Yeah.
right? People have a hard time adapting to change. So trying to keep that to a minimum, I mean, what kind of changes are we really talking about?
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of movement in products, and paper is one part of it, and that's easy. But I think there's a couple things that still remain that really challenge us on sustainability. We first of all, we have a plastic question, okay? So plastic isn't bad. We use plastic in a lot of things, but single-use plastic, as we talked about, does not support sustainability. After the plastic question, we actually have a PVC question. So a lot of brands and consumers are asking to switch away from PVC, which is an interesting challenge. PVC is very prevalent in a lot of print. It works very well in a wide array of applications, and it's got a relatively good price point. So we have a challenge here in a couple of questions.
Yeah, the questions are really important. The challenges are definitely there. So when we talk about it, what are some of the next steps to solving some of those concerns and questions that people have in that area?
Yeah, so really, I think there's three things that we're talking about that really come into play here as we move forward into sustainability, and certainly for us. One is switching face stock. So we talked about the question people have about PVC. So it's easier to go in the initial step to go from PVC to a non-PVC face stock. But just using a non-PVC face stock doesn't necessarily guarantee sustainability. So this is where we start to have a question with brands and consumers about what is the long-term use of plastic. So we talked about big moves are not going to be, they're not going to happen quickly, right? But we're going to try to balance cost. We're going to try and balance durability. We're going to try and balance suitability, which kind of creates it's not as easy as it sounds. So we usually in a conversation, we move to the second thing that happens all the time. So really the discussion I think that's important here is what's the most green option? Okay, and this is a conversation with brands, with consumers, with printers about really what's your goal? What are you trying to achieve? Because you and I know it goes beyond just the face stock, right? And when we get into a conversation about the most green option, is this really the best adhesive? Is this the best construction of an adhesive? More importantly, a lot of the synthetics we sell have a liner on them, right? All these pressure sensitive films, and you and I know liners contain plastics. Yeah. They're used to protect the liner, and those are not normally recycled, and most of those go into the landfill. So in this, when we start to have a conversation about the most green option, it's not as simple as picking, a green or an eco product out of a catalog. This really starts to be a cooperation and a conversation with everybody about, what's really the best product to choose here. And last, there's a third thing, and I think it's the most important. And this is where companies, GPA and others here start to really look at the idea of leadership and innovation. It's time to, and we're in the process of developing better material options. And so I think when people really start to talk about sustainability, what's going to be most important is the reduction in non-sustainable components. So this is where we really look to partner with brands and partners with printers to develop solutions. Mike, I mean, nobody has all the answers. I don't, you don't, but together, and I used cooperation a lot, and that's really what it is. It needs to be a bigger discussion about what we're really trying to achieve or what they're really trying to achieve, or what their goal is. In all that, if we cooperate, we can find a lot more sustainable options.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of great information there, Matt, and there's a lot of great things coming in the future. But now let's talk about some of the products that can make an immediate difference that GPA has available now.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some great things that make a difference right now. And I referenced Illumographics and my desire to go outside and spend spring and summer in parks, festivals, and concerts, not only because of its great function as an outdoor floor graphic, but in the idea that it's a non-PVC product. So it's not a plastic, it's a foil. It's actually aluminum foil, which makes it really unique. So not only is it slip resistant and non-flammable, contains no hazardous elements, but it is 100% curbside recyclable. And we know that aluminum is one of the most recycled items. So the chance that putting this into curbside recycling, that it will be recycled into something else, is incredibly high. So I like this product as a sustainable option, right now that we can use. Second, talk about one I really enjoy, and that's our 10 mil blockout display film. What I really like about this is if you're talking about switching away from PVC into other synthetics, you look at unique constructions, and this is a polypropylene, polyester, polypropylene sandwich. And what that does is it creates a durable product with limiting certain amounts of plastic in it. and allows it to be, 100% blockout and excellent lay flat characteristics. So it's a non-PVC option that can be used in a number of applications, which we really like.
I like those examples that you
Yeah.
picked, Matt, for sure. I'm going to talk about a couple other items too. Brown Craft is something that is really interesting as well. I mean, this is a Brown Craft C2S product. It's 18 point, so it's got a nice bulk to it. It's 100% recycled, so 85% of that is post-consumer waste. This is great for things like lightweight packaging, for cards, posters, brochures. And not only that, I love the way that it looks when, coupled with printing white ink. White ink makes it look really fantastic on that product. The other item that I want to talk about, it's on the screen right now for you guys to look at, is the Free Life Hemp Jute Cover. This is really new for us. What I really like about this product, Matt, is the color.
Yeah.
The color of it is very unique. It is an 18 point as well. This is made from 30% hemp fibers. That's right, I said hemp fibers. And 40% recycled fibers and 30% FSC certified virgin pulp. It is FSC certified. It is recyclable and also biodegradable. And it's elemental chlorine free, which is very interesting. The last item that I'm going to share before you get to your last product, Matt, you talked a lot about synthetic alternatives. This is a great synthetic alternative. This is our Via Stone paper. This is a non-adhesive synthetic. It is a 12 mil product. It is completely chlorine free. Completely free of traditional cellulose pulp. And it is inorganic material, a mineral powder, and it is water resistant and suitable for outdoor applications. This is great for, as you see on the screen there, this is like a trail map. So it's going to be okay to bring outdoors. It can get wet. It's not going to break down at all like a paper map would be. So I love that application use as well.
Yeah, and I'll finish up with this last one here and bring it home with one of our favorite products. This is white matte polyester. And it's interesting that we would put polyester into sustainable. People always have some questions here. One, it's not PVC. Two, it's incredibly durable, so its life cycle goes longer. It doesn't have to be replaced as much. It's a great product that's two-side printable, waterproof, tear-proof, grease-proof. But really, like we talked about with aluminum, what we always like about substituting polyester is a number one plastic, right? And it is actually the most recycled plastic material. So anytime you put polyester into a recycling bin, there is a really high chance that it will become something else, that it's going to get recycled and not go into the landfill.
Yeah. Those are some great product alternatives, especially when you're looking for the sustainability part of it, recyclability, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So we talked about a lot of things today. So we'll just do a little bit of a recap, and then we have a few more slides to share before we get into the Q&A. More getaways, right?
Right.
One of the big topics of the day. Family, leisure travel, going to be really big here in 2021. It's already started. I had to get into the airport to come here.
Right.
It was insane, busier than I've seen even pre some of the things that we've experienced last year. Experience marketing and personalized marketing are going to be big keys to attracting consumers to the brands and then people into some of these environments that we're trying to entice them back out to. And then lastly, from my perspective, before you share your points, Matt, is the social stationery part of it. Again, this is going to explode this year with the weddings and the anniversaries and things like that. It's going to be a very, very big year for the social stationery market. Yeah,
absolutely. So, and then, we talked about the demand for sustainable products, and in print, this is only going to increase. But the positives, innovation and leadership are going to continue to provide more sustainable solutions. We did highlight a lot of products that we have available that can make an immediate impact. And most importantly, we talked a lot about cooperation, but partnership is really the key to sustainability. We all have a part to play. So if you want, please reach out to GPA. We'd love to talk to anybody about more sustainable options and what their sustainability goals really are.
Yeah. So before we jump into some of the Q&A part of this, Matt, why don't you tell them a little bit about our social media presence and how you can connect with us?
Yeah, here's a couple great ways to connect with us. And I want to give a shout out real quick here just to our marketing team led by Marianne and Jessica and our friends Elena and Taylor, not only for what they've done for us today here helping out, but also for the great work they do representing GPA on all of our social media platforms. I talked about LinkedIn earlier, and all of our business development directors and managers and GPA itself share a tremendous amount of information about products, markets, and applications. So please follow us on LinkedIn on our personal pages or at GPA. On Twitter, we like to share case studies. It's a little more in depth and they're a great place to go. And you can find us on Twitter at GPA_innovates. And one of my all-time favorite, Pinterest, only second to TikTok, which I know we've discussed. Pinterest is fantastic. So we on Pinterest feature many applications. We curate a lot of boards that are specific to print technologies and applications. Please go follow us and experience what we have there on Pinterest at GPA Innovates, one word. On Facebook, we share information. We call it the Federigoni Group Inspiration. GPA is fortunate to be a part of the Federigoni Group, which is a worldwide and world-class organization. And you can find us there for Federigoni Group Inspiration at GPA. And then on Instagram, I love this. We post the innovation pics, and you can find us on Instagram at GPA_innovates. So please
Matt,
follow us on social media.
Matt, your TikTok.
I did not share my, no, I did not.
TikTok.
I'll share that with you later. You can follow if you'd like.
Disappointed.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get into the Q&A part of today's discussion. And we're going to pull out our little computer here, see what kind of questions have come through, and hopefully we can answer some of those.
Yeah, so we had an original question here that came in a little earlier about trends that we might be seeing. So Getaways, what does it say? Getaways, you show outdoor floor graphics. What demand are you seeing for floor graphics? Are they dead, changing, or what? That's a great question.
Floor graphics are not dead, that's for sure. Changing would probably be the best way to look at this. I mean, that's what I've seen anyway, and I'll let you elaborate on it too, Matt. But a lot of the stuff that I've seen over the last, I would say, maybe 3 to 6 months, maybe even a little bit before then, it started to evolve into a way for brands to now also use their descriptions and messages in order to get to customers, as well as their graphics, but still use them in the way that they're intended for distancing and things like that. But they're not as invasive as they used to be.
No, I would agree. So floor graphics have always had a place. They spiked based upon the situation we were in. We saw the shift, and we highlighted it in the application of it. We really looked at amusement parks because we wanted to share that most people are thinking now these graphics have to exist, but we don't want them to intrude onto our experience. So when we're talking about the experience, we're looking for more subtle ways, maybe to blend them or camouflage them or brand them so they're less invasive. So I think that was a great one. You want to pick out another one there?
Yeah, what do we got here? You talked, where are we here? What about sustainability and social stationery? Great question. I mean, it definitely has a place, and there's a lot of areas within social stationery that there's substrates that could be used that fall within the sustainability, message. Again, we talked about the hemp. There's a lot of other products that can be used that have great recycled content, for example, that can actually be used in that environment. And again, when you take some of these products and you add on some of the things like the embellishments that we talked about, or if you take and do some very unique die cutting, those are other things as far as we're seeing in the social stationery side, but you got to be really careful there, because when you start adding some of those things onto those pieces, you have to make sure if sustainability and recyclability is something that you're concerned about, you want to make sure that whatever OEM technology you're using for those embellishments and things like that are going to be compatible with that sustainability track that you're looking for, right?
Yeah, it's a great point, because this one comes up all the time. One of the first things we deal with, so paper, great, right? FSC, all kinds of things, we can recycle it. Paper gets processed into a lot of things. We have a lot of friendly papers. This is a great application. One of the things we see a lot, like in tags, somebody will do a tag and then they'll laminate their paper with a PVC or a synthetic.
Yeah.
And, they do a great job of extracting certain things when they're doing recycling and turning them into other components. That's going right. That's going right into the landfill. That's not gonna help.
It takes away the recyclability component of it once you do something like that.
Yeah, so here's a question. We talked about floors. What about walls, interior and exterior for customer experience? And I would, we pointed out floors just in the two applications. One in the Chicago Museum exhibit, but really in that same application, when we talk about creating engaging environments or trying to immerse people in a customer experience. So we just chose simply to highlight those stairs, and then we chose to highlight that aisle in the shopping experience. But there's so many opportunities, I think, in any place to create more of an immersive experience. So wall films, wall fabrics, wall graphics as a whole, totally an important part of that experience. And I think it works to really create, that more immersive, totally connected experience. So.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think today more than ever, people are sharing a lot of their experiences on social media, especially now as they're starting to get back out. They're sharing all these things as they're getting back out into the environment. So brands, again, and locations, whether it be amusement parks or hotels or concert venues, are looking to create that environment so that it really engages the customer. And we see a lot of customers taking selfies in front of some of these graphics that are put on walls, and it looks like they're actually in a space that isn't the space
right,
they're
not
actually
really. Yeah, they're not really there.
They're building a unique environment that's not actually part of maybe where they really are.
Yeah. So Mike, you shared with us the Enjoy sample envelope, and we've got a question here about products we talked about. So we talked about a lot of products in different applications. We specifically called out some for sustainability, some for social stationery. So they're asking here, how can we get samples of those products we showcased? So
great question. You can either reach out to us through maybe one of the social media platforms that you saw, but the best way to do this would be to connect directly with your GPA BDM if you know who that is. If you do not know who your GPA business development manager is, you can contact us at GPA directly through any of those social media platforms that you saw.
Reach out at gpa-innovates.com and you'll find a way to say hello to us from there. So
we'd be more than happy to get you some samples of any of the things we talked about today. And there's hundreds of other substrates out there that GPA has to offer as well.
Yeah, and sustainability, we just highlighted a few that might cross-platform or do some things. I mean, there's a lot more options, which again is why I think when we were talking not only about in sustainability, but in any of those applications, it's really about cooperate. What are you trying to achieve? And how can we help you, meet those goals? So this is a good one, and I was hoping we'd get this, or maybe wondering when it would come in, but can you speculate on some of the innovations you're working on? So, I can speculate. I can. So if you think about what we talked about, remember we talked about there's probably 3 possible things that we could do to create more sustainable products. And I said the most important one is innovation and leadership, where we take active roles in saying we have a part to play in this, and we're going to come up with better ways to do this. I think that some of the things that I know are coming in different things is the ways to strengthen and improve papers without using harmful chemicals or the introduction of plastics. So if you look at, we have a particular product that's really like grease proof. So you talk about things we can add to products that will significantly improve the ability for truly sustainable materials, because papers, we plant more trees, we can do all these things. There's all these great things about working with paper. So one of the challenges we see is people want to move away from certain items, and these other items like paper are better answers, but they don't meet the suitability or the durability. There's a lot of innovation right now going into the idea of how do we make those stronger and better, and how do we make them work for those applications. I think one of the other things about it, if we had to speculate, would be the combination of materials. So I shared in one of my favorite products, the blockout display film, that it was a polypropylene, polyester polypropylene, which I love. Because you get the lay flat and durability of polyester, you reduce some of that component, you'd reduce the cost by the polypropylene doesn't contain PVC, but we see unique products like the combination of paper, polyester, and paper. So again, when we start to look at that fits a lot of applications. Could go into a map application, could go into retail signage, could go into direct mailings. And in that, we're blending 2 products, and we're having this idea of, is it more green to have less plastic, maybe more paper, and how will that fit? I always feel better, even if paper doesn't get recycled, if paper goes back into the landfill, I'm feeling better about that than introducing something else.
Yeah, those are great points, Matt. And, I think a lot about this too. And for many of you that know me and I've maybe spent time in your environments, that I'm very heavily involved on the technical and R&D side of the business here at GPA. So as we talk about, where are we going with some of these things? I'm very involved a lot with taking some of these products and making sure that they are compatible with the technology that you guys are looking to print on. So it's not just about, hey, can we develop a product? The product might be something that we could bring in, but can we actually take it and make it printable across many of the different print platforms that our customers are using? So looking at things like recycled plastic, again, to try to cut down on the stuff that's ending up in the landfill, taking products that are actually out there, waste being collected, and then actually making other plastics that can be reused. So we're always working on something. And as Matt had mentioned earlier, if there are things that interest you, or if there's a direction that you are looking to go that maybe you currently don't see, an avenue to take, that's where we really like to engage with some of our customers and work together to actually find a way to make that work.
Yeah, and a question just came in. I think it's perfect for you because you just talked about this. Really, the question is digital print technology. Can you talk about how this is really just helping with sustainability?
Yeah, you think about digital print technology. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when I think digital is there's way less waste, right, than what we're used to in conventional print technology in the past. I mean, you'd have to run hundreds of sheets in order to get, the make ready of a product in order for the print to be right. There's a lot of the carbon footprint now, and a lot of the OEM platform technologies is either neutral, so they're actually working very hard on their end for the sustainability part of it as well. But the digital part is really interesting and important because they're making a lot of strides on their end, and we're trying to bring a lot of these products to the market that are compatible with their technology and also on the sustainable side. But yeah, for me, when I think digital, I think less waste overall because there's not as much of that make ready. It's, if you need 10, I'm printing 10.
Yeah.
I'm not printing, back in the old days when I worked in, conventional print space, and we had customers that would, we print hundreds of thousands of brochures for them, and we would warehouse them, and then we would fulfill them throughout the year. And if they didn't use them all, at the end of the year, it basically went in the landfill. We threw it all away because it wasn't going to be good for the next year because they redid them every year. So when you look at what digital print has done for that type of environment, it significantly reduced the amount of waste there because now people are only ordering what they need. If I have an appointment next week and I'm going in to meet 10 people, I'm only printing 10 brochures or 10 cards or whatever it might be to physically hand to those 10 people at that meeting, and I'm not throwing anything else away.
Yeah, it's interesting that we talk about digital print and how that's supporting sustainability. I mean, we were talking yesterday, there was an excellent post by one of our friends and customers on Earth Day, and they had this great post about their sustainability efforts. And of course, in manufacturing, like anything like that in print, a lot of printers are looking to be more sustainable, just beyond materials. And one of the things they highlighted was the efficiency of not only digital print, but wide format print. And then even the transition they had made on some of their traditional UV offset presses. They were talking about the ability to make changes faster, using less electricity, things about lights and different things that they do and how they weight and move and store products. So I think there's a lot that's really cool about that, definitely in that aspect. So
it's a lot. There's a lot of great information that you guys could post out there on your social media feeds that are very important, believe it or not, to your end customers. They want to know, like that in particular customer you're talking about that had all that post on Earth Day.
Yeah,
their customers want to know that stuff.
Absolutely.
And like you said earlier, customers want to work with companies that are being more sustainable.
Yeah. So we got a great question. Can you expand a little on customer experience marketing and key points of focus? So that was one of our first things we talked about, and very important right now. So customer experience marketing, really this idea that people are looking for unique experiences, right? We're coming out of a difficult time. People want to get out and move. They want I think you used the word once in a lifetime experiences, yes. Very unique experiences, and kind of focusing directly on them. So to me, I think the key points are we're looking to upgrade the experience. And we talked about that through all of our applications, whether it was, in personalization marketing, embellishments, die cuts, all those types of things. But we talked specifically about how graphics can upgrade an experience. I mean, that was shopping in a grocery aisle. Yeah. I mean, we've all walked down a grocery aisle and they don't all look like that, but it's much more pleasant to be there. So again, customer experience marketing, think from the focus of the customer, what it's like to be in that place. How can I make it better? Understanding that if people are going to go out and travel, and that was the small getaway. When we talked about big getaways, we talked about beaches, resorts, concerts. People want that experience to be elevated more than they remember, even better than they remember. And most importantly, as you said, they're willing to pay more for it, right? And we're expecting to.
Yeah, as restrictions start to ease, I have seen a huge increase in some of the direct mail marketing that's coming to my mailbox. You know, there is a huge battle out there right now between all of these cruise lines, hotels, resorts to win your business. I'm not so sure that the days of old of loyalty to one specific brand is going to cut it. And I think the brands actually realize this now, and they're working very, very hard in order to make sure that the people that they had as part of these loyalty programs and you know, the people that always came back and visited them are going to continue to come back in the future.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more, and I'll throw it to you. I think I alluded to it, but products that are great for synthetic menus.
Products that are great for synthetic menus. The first thing that comes to my mind would be our synthetic paper. So synthetic paper is a great product. It is something that, especially if you're going to use to fold a menu. So if it's something that's going to be a traditional menu that you print flat and then you fold it into, you know, a half, or maybe you tri-fold it, that is a great item to use because it will hold its shape with the fold and it won't crack. So if anybody's tried to create a menu out of rigid vinyl, it will score and fold. But if your customers open and close that menu a handful of times, the next thing you know, you're going to have two separate menus. You're going to have dinner and lunch on separate menus instead of on one. It's really not a good product for use there. You could also use the ViaStone as a menu option as well. And again, these items are good to take if you need it. And again, this is where the sustainability part is. If you need to put an overlaminate on it or a UV coating, you can do it, but you don't have to in some of these cases. But you can use rigid vinyl if you're doing a flat menu, not a problem. It's the foldable part that you got to be concerned about. If you're doing a foldable menu, you want to stay away from rigid vinyl and go more towards synthetic paper.
Fantastic. So we want to say thank you to everybody who joined us today. Thank you for sharing your day with us, allowing us to come in and share some of our information with you. We truly appreciate it. We have to say thank you to our team. Mike and I are fortunate to get to be on camera, but there's a lot of people who've been working behind. So thank you very much for your efforts, both here, those with us and those that are with us virtually, helping feed us questions and do a lot of things. So it's been a great experience, Mike, a pleasure to be with you, and I truly enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, me as well, Matt. And I look forward to getting back out in the field very soon as things continue to open up. If you guys are starting to welcome visitors, let us know. We would really love to come out and spend some time with you guys in the very near future. So cheers to everyone. Thanks again for joining us today. And we look forward to our next presentation coming from the lab.